the strongest people are actually quiet. They don't need aggression. They know who they really are, and they don't need to manipulate others to strengthen their own position. They can stand their ground in life without henchmen. They can handle anything on their own because they know who they are and what they have to do. Life is an ongoing series of choices. You decide which side you want to be on. Those who gain power through manipulation, when in fact this is what shows their weakness. Or you can start to grow up to be one of those who have unshakable faith in themselves, who don't need the affirmation of others to be strong because they are strong in themselves. Let me warmly welcome you to the City of Dawn YouTube channel. My name is Mubati Seeker. I am a medical doctor, healer, writer and teacher. I am the author of the best-selling Awake Giant, The Dawn of the Soul, which you can purchase on Amazon. This book can be your guide to inner development and self-discovery, helping you become who you truly are. I want to help you discover why you are here, what your unique and personalized mission is here on this planet called Earth, and how to set out with strong determination, courage, and resolve on the path that has been waiting for you for so long. This path was made for you, and no one else can walk it for you. My channel and of course my book will help you with this. And even among men who at the moment are the most conscious beings on earth, there is an immense majority who are potentially drawn towards the divine, but who know nothing about it. And there are even some who deliberately refuse this attraction. Perhaps in their refusal, behind it, something is preparing, but neither willingly nor knowingly. In fact, finally, everything will be attracted by the divine. Only there are direct roads and there are labyrinth paths, where one seems to be going further away for a very long time before drawing close. And there are beings who have chosen the labyrinth path and who intend to remain there as long as they can. So, apparently, they are beings who fight against the divine. All consciousness is moving towards God, whether it is aware of it or not. We've talked about this before, and I would emphasize it very much because it's really a question that concerns all human beings. There are many ways of describing the so-called struggle between good and evil, and in many religions there are many depictions of helper beings standing beside God and demonic creatures fighting against him. From a very early age, we are instilled with images of angels and devils. How many times do we hear how angelically good this child is, but there is a little devil in him again? We grow into it to learn that there is a God, there are angels, but be aware, for there is the devil with a capital D and his demonic helpers. And if you are a good man, you will go to heaven with the angels. If you are bad, you will go to hell, and the devil will torture you with pitchforks for eternity. What is the truth? The truth with a capital truth. It is in this one sentence that the mother described it. All consciousness goes to God. Eventually, everyone goes to him, even the so-called devil. I think it is important to mention at this point that we must let go of the many images that we have been inculcated with. They were good in their time, even when we were afraid of the wicked witch or the three-headed dragon in our childhood stories. And obviously, the youngest son of the old king was always the embodiment of angelic goddess, who fearlessly defeated the dragon. But what does it all mean? Do you really think that if you're lucky and you're born in a good place and you're relatively a good person, then that's enough and that's it, no more? You're going to go through this 90 years, say, and be done with it? 90 years where you consider yourself good because you didn't kill anyone, you didn't steal, you didn't lie too much, you even helped out sometimes, you didn't do too much that was unpleasant, you paddle through life and then you get your just reward. You're done. And you get the rest you deserve. How much progress have you made in that lifetime? Have you evolved at all? Or did you just look good? Maybe you have been deceiving yourself, not being honest with yourself, deceiving those around you into thinking you were a good person. You scowled at those who you thought were bad because they were born in the wrong place, lived in poverty, and ended up in prison for stealing. And then, when they were released, they were stigmatized as criminals. You are the good guy, and he's the bad guy. And what if at the end of your life you end up over there saying that you have not improved at all because you have been self-righteous and deceived yourself? You have been a mimic of goodness, but you have created a huge ego inside that considers itself far superior to everyone else. Now you get to go back again, brother, because you haven't evolved. Pull yourself together, take a few years off, and then the test begins again for you. You are born into a life that seems easy, where you don't have to be, shall we say, financially destitute, but that's why it will be difficult. Behind the comfort, you have to see the real mission. There's no fairy tale. You have to grow. You have to improve yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And you have to admit to yourself, obviously giving your ego a huge slap in the face, that I am conceited. I think I'm more than others. I have no humility. So if I list everything, I'll end up realizing that I'm really a bad person. I use the adjectives good and bad deliberately. As we have discussed before, it is not a very conscious statement to say something is good or bad. Well, admitting this is the real turning point. And this is what God has been waiting for all along. And maybe after several unsuccessful lives of not realizing it, the breakthrough has finally happened. The moment God has been patiently waiting for centuries, letting us wander the labyrinth to finally admit and face up to our mistake. From there, we can grow. Every time a mistake is acknowledged, Our celestial helpers rejoice because from here on we have something to talk about, because this will be logically followed by an effort to correct the weakness. And this is what we call progress. But this cannot be done without honesty. In this state of consciousness, we will see that in that particular life, that criminal jailhouse thief was already a higher soul than me. He was already ahead of me, and his actions for which society has cast him out and stigmatized him, for example, count less as bad in the eyes of God than my conceited, egoistical conceit. Say his child was starving, hadn't eaten in 3 days. No one has given him what he asked for, and he finally decided to try to steal food for the hungry child because he weighed the options and decided that the child needed to eat. Who can judge that? Can you? Can the court? Are we being fair? Do we not generalize? Of course, always. So what's right and what's wrong? I suggest to you once again that you stop using these adjectives, because what is good for who? In the example above, the person living in affluence has benefited from a comfortable life. Obviously, he just wants to feel good from the point of view of his ego. But from a developmental point of view, it hasn't been very beneficial. It was a complicating factor. Often an event that we perceive as negative gives us the push or the slap, if you like, that sets us right and sets us on the road to progress. So who are the hostile forces? All consciousness is moving towards God. It just doesn't know it. The hostile energies are closer to ignorance, and if we give in to their attraction, they bind us more and more to the outer world of appearances. The more a soul progresses on the path of evolution, the more conscious it becomes. That is, the more it begins to see beyond appearances. In your case, for example, the proof that you are striving to become more and more conscious is evident in that you are watching this video about the divine life at this very moment. If you weren't interested in this, you would have stopped watching already. But the fact that you have gotten to this point in this video is logically proof for me that you are looking for ways to see beyond the external. Well, the enemy forces are trying to make us not want to care too much about what lies beyond. So they lure us into a mundane life of desire, which can be very attractive, but it is completely lacking in seeing beyond, in seeking the truth, in seeking to evolve. Those who give in to the influence of such energies are what we might call less conscious or ignorant. But they too are moving towards God, and sooner or later they will find themselves in a position where they will begin to peer behind the veil, and they will be interested in the light that shines from behind. And eventually the light will illuminate everything in them and reveal everything that has been in the shadows. Remember, before you judge them, that you were as ignorant as they were. You too once went against God until the lure of ignorance bound you. And you were not even aware that you belonged to God even then. No more apt way to conclude this reflection than by reading the words of the Mother. Eventually, God will draw all things to Himself. It is only that there are direct paths and there are labyrinths in which one seems to be moving away for a long time before finally coming close. And there are those who choose this labyrinth and intend to stay there as long as they can. Thus, it is apparently these beings who are fighting against God. Amen. I recently received a very good question. The question is, how can one live without caring so much about the opinions of others that one cannot be so hurt by these hurts? I wrote the following answer to this question. Hurt is usually suffered because ordinary people try to manipulate each other at cross purposes. Most of them put power first in their lives and try to extend it as widely as possible over others, feeling that they have the upper hand if they feel they can control as many people as possible, to influence their lives, to influence their behavior, to make them do what they really want them to do. Now, when we manage to control others, all well and good, but when we run into resistance, we resort to ways of regaining our influence over them. Ordinary people usually use intimidation for this purpose, and bullying is one means of doing so. Harshness and aggression are also a sign of weakness, because it shows that the person cannot control others in any other way than by using violence. The strongest people are actually quiet. They don't need aggression. They know who they really are, and they don't need to manipulate others to strengthen their own position. They can stand their ground in life without henchmen. They can handle anything on their own because they know who they are and what they have to do. Life is an ongoing series of choices. You decide which side you want to be on. Those who gain power through manipulation, when in fact this is what shows their weakness, or you can start to grow up to be one of those who have unshakable faith in themselves, who don't need the affirmation of others to be strong because they are strong in themselves. Here's the thing. The bullying rolls right off them because they immediately recognize the weakness of the bully. They know that the purpose of the abuse is manipulation. Such a person abuses because they are actually weak, and they are terrified of losing their power. If you know all this, you will sooner or later realize that any kind of defense of your position takes up a lot of wasted energy. If you don't care about the opinions and possible disapproval of others because you know who you are and that self-image does not depend on their opinions, you will not waste time and energy defending your position or trying to convince others of your rightness. If you are dealing with a less knowledgeable person who falls into the first type of person described above, you will not be able to convince him because he will defend his position to the limit. But you don't have to convince him. Why should you? So in the light of the above, the short answer to the question is to start developing self-awareness. Know who you are, or if you don't, invest energy in discovering yourself not in convincing others or defending your position. Find out what your purpose is here on this planet called Earth, what your personal, unique mission is. No one can tell you that, only you can find out. Anyone who tries to tell you what your mission is surely trying to exert power over you and manipulate you. Notice the games around you and choose not to participate in them with the simple but firm attitude, I'm not playing. Find out how many people are actually using you for their own purposes. How many people want you to live their life instead of yours. Behind the hurt, recognize the weakness and see the person is actually pathetically weak. Weak, desperate to use you when they're upset that you're not doing what they want. If you start to evolve, there will come a time when these insults will bounce off you like a rose of armor. While I know that the best way to do our job is not to desire the result, but the right attitude is to put maximum energy into what we are doing, even if it doesn't produce any result, still, not being an enlightened spiritual master, I will tell you honestly, it was very nice when the person who asked me this question wrote me the following message days later. Let me also tell you that you got me out of the shit, in part. I reread your email day after day for a long time. It's hard for me to put into words what I felt at that time, because this was a real life situation in the life of a flesh and blood human being, not philosophy, not just big words. The formula was this. A man was in trouble. I happened to be talking to him and I offered to ask him if I could help him. And the real miracle was that I didn't actually help him. Not me. The answer just came from somewhere. Let's put it this way. I had the honor of being the pen that could write the message. And that message was for this man personally. And as you can see, it helped him. This soul grew because he had the courage to ask, the perseverance to read the answer over and over again until the truth is contained was his own. No one can take that away from him now. Remember, everything can be taken from you here on this planet called Earth. There is only one thing that no one can ever take from you, and this is experience. Because your soul, once it has got it, carries it along the way, and it is all its own. It is that through which progress is made. And it is that after which we can say that we have succeeded in rising to a higher level, to a higher consciousness. What he has been given the opportunity to do, you have the opportunity to do. Let's briefly summarize the most important wise teachings from today's video. All consciousness go towards God. Eventually everyone goes to God. Have you evolved at all? Or did you just look good? Maybe you have just been deceiving yourself, not being honest with yourself, and deceiving yourself and those around you into thinking you were a good person. Behind the comfort, you must always see the real mission to surpass yourself. From here you can grow. The big breakthrough will come when we finally admit and own up to our mistakes. Many times an event that we perceive as negative gives us the push we need to start on the path of improvement. Hostile forces, Fear-mongering. If you have no fear, they lose their power over you. Enemy forces make us not want to care too much about the underlying issues. You decide which camp you join. Those who use manipulation to gain power are in fact weak-minded. Those who have unshakable faith in themselves, on the other hand, don't need the affirmation of others to be strong. Begin to develop self-awareness. Know who you are, or if you don't know, put the energy into discovering yourself, not into convincing others or defending your position. Don't forget the armor that protects you. If you start to evolve, there will come a time when these insults will bounce off you like a rose off your armor. Remember, the City of Dawn is you. You who are watching this video and who are thereby being brought into the consciousness of the Divine Mother. Live this in your daily life, and if you feel comfortable here, come back again and again. Be a regular guest here, be a builder, be a resident of the City of Dawn. Discover the deeper truths of your life, find your way to yourself, and become who you really are. If you would like to join me, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook and TikTok, and feel free to share this video with others. The Mother's books are available to read for free at the link provided in the description, and I welcome any questions you may have via email. You can purchase my book Awake Giant, The Dawn of the Soul on Amazon. You will find the link in the description. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your hearts and souls. May Mother bless you abundantly on your journey through life. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.